I'm not sure if it's possible, but if you can have that question added to last week's YouTube, it'd be very good. Because it relates directly to the last week's class. The simple answer to your question is that if someone asks another who's alive to make dua for me, that's not shirk. If I tell you, brothers, make dua for me, number one, that's not shirk. It's not shirk. Number two, if I ask you to make dua for me, it's not even sinful. However, we as talabat al-ilm, we try to strive to learn what's best and the conditions and what the ulama said about it. Even though it's not shirk, habitually doing it is something that the ulama spoke about. For example, look at ruqya. Ruqya permissible? Permissible, of course ruqya is permissible. It's not haram. However, it's better not to ask others for ruqya. And dua is very similar to that. If you look at the hadith in Bukhari and Muslim about the 70,000 who will enter Jannah and they have special qualities and privileges, one of the restrictions on being in that group is لا يسترقون. They don't ask people for ruqya. If you ask someone for ruqya, is it permissible? It's permissible. However, if you wanna be at a higher status, you are held to a higher standard. The higher status being entering Jannah in the first group without hisab or reckoning. The first 70,000. And of course, there's more in the many additional narrations who will be included with that. If you want to be among those, do ruqya on yourself. Don't ask for the others. Dua is very similar with some details. Now in dua, if you tell someone make dua for you, and your intention is to benefit yourself and the one you asked, then you're really encouraging righteousness. And you may get reward for it. If that's your intention, you may get reward. If you're going to benefit him, how do you benefit him? You benefit him, if you ask him to make dua, you benefit him by making a ibadah. Dua is a ibadah. When you tell him make dua for me, you're encouraging him to do a ibadah. We said dua is a ibadah. So you're basically encouraging him to make dua. That's like pray the 2 sunnahs after dhuhr, brother. Your reward will be for encouraging him to make a ibadah. That's how you benefit him. You get reward. If your intention also is to benefit him by the angels telling him and you will get the same, when you make a dua for someone else, the angels say, and you will get the same. If that's your intention to encourage him to make dua, so the angels will make dua for him, you're encouraging righteousness. If your intention is to get him to make dua so he can do ihsan to you or to another, you get reward for it. Ihsan is righteousness. Righteousness to a brother. You'll get reward for encouraging him to do ihsan to you or to someone else. When you make dua for a Muslim, that's ihsan to him. So if I get another Muslim to make dua for me or another, then I will get possibly ajr for that, inshallah. Now what it boils down to, if the intention when asking another for dua is to benefit the one he asks, he'll get reward. If the intention when asking to make dua is to benefit himself and the one who he asked, he will get reward inshallah for that. If his intention is to only benefit himself personally, it may be better to refrain from asking others, because over time it leads to reliance on others for dua, directly or indirectly. Then one may become neglectful over his own dua and being persistent in it, knowing someone else may be making dua for him. It may also, in this day and age, give some people an ego or a big head when people keep telling them, make dua for me, make dua for me. Ibn Rajab said, Umar ibn al-Khattab and other Sahaba in Tabi'een used to dislike someone asking them to make dua, saying, are we messengers? They understood it, that was a quality to be a messenger, and they didn't want to, they were humble, and they didn't want to taint their humility with Allah. Ibn Jarir narrated that when Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas went to Damascus, a man told him, ask Allah to forgive me. And Sa'd Allah honored him with an answered dua. A man asked him when he went to visit, he said, ask Allah to forgive me. So he said, may Allah forgive you. He told the first man, may Allah forgive you. Another man came in and said, ask Allah to forgive me, Sa'd. Sa'd said, may Allah not forgive you or him. Meaning you and the one who asked me before you. Do I look like a messenger to you? Al-Shatibi in Al-I'tisam, Al-Shatibi in his book Al-I'tisam, he commented on this saying in lesson, and he said, when he seen it was an exceptional request to make dua, he answered. When people began to crowd, and he understood it differently, which is that people may think that he's at a higher level than what he is, or a higher status, or that possibly he had foresight and knew that they may think in the future that he is at a higher status. He wanted to eliminate that. He wanted to eliminate that people assume that asking him for dua is also a sunnah. He didn't want to think that he's at a higher status. He didn't want them to think it's a sunnah. Ibn Jarir also narrated a similar story that a man asked Hudayfa radiallahu anh to forgive him. A man asked Hudayfa to ask Allah to forgive him. Hudayfa said, may Allah not forgive you. Just like Sa'd's story. He probably didn't want people thinking that he's at a higher status than he is, as the scenarios that Shatibi rahimahullah mentioned. Or he didn't want to make it, he probably didn't want to make it a trend. Al-Khatib in his book At-Talkhis mentioned that when Ubaydillah ibn Abi Salih was ill, Tawus went to visit him. Ubaydillah ibn Abi Salih said, oh Abu Abdurrahman, the kunya of Tawus, make dua for me. He said, make dua for yourself. Allah answers the distressed when they call. Tawus told him, make dua for yourself. What he means is, you may go ask someone who you think is better. Maybe he is. Allah knows best. But you have a quality that may give you a higher status for that dua to be accepted. You're in distress. The person you're asking to make dua for is not in distress over your matter. What did Allah say? أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ. The one who responds to the distress when he calls. He didn't say the one who goes to his friend, the one distressed who goes to his friends and asks his friend to make dua. He said the distressed himself when he calls. You have a quality. The hadith some of use where Umar, the Prophet ﷺ told Umar, make dua for me. After research, I found it was weak. And as to the other hadith where the Prophet ﷺ told Abu Bakr and Umar, إن رأيتما أويسا القرن فاسألاه أن يدعو لكما. If you see Uwais al-Qarni, the Prophet told Abu Bakr or Umar, if you see Uwais al-Qarni, ask him to make dua for you. The hadith is authentic. Even though Imam Malik denied, rahimahullah, the hadith, and he even denied any person as being Uwais. But the correct opinion is the hadith is authentic. That's a special circumstance. That's a special situation. And that's a special man whose dua is answered. And how do we know it's special? I just told you right now. The Sahaba, as you've seen, Hudayfa and Sa'd, and what Shatibi said that about Sahaba that they disliked it, they understood it to be special when they didn't ask each other to make dua for each other. They didn't ask that. So they understood it and we go by. That's what we say when we follow the Salaf. That's what we mean. In fact, had it been proper after the Prophet ﷺ said that about Uwais, Umar would have turned to Abu Bakr radiallahu anhuma and he would have said to him, make dua for me. Because Abu Bakr is better than Umar. He never did that. So it appears like this was an exceptional circumstance. And then the Prophet ﷺ told Abu Bakr and Umar to ask Uwais for dua if they see him. The issue we mentioned is people making it a trend and relying on others for dua. Abu Bakr and Umar radiallahu anhuma, their iman and knowledge in making dua, in their reliance on Allah in making dua, it's not something that you fear over. Unlike today, where people will begin to rely on others for making dua and neglect their own dua in their own persistence, which wasn't something that we would expect of Abu Bakr and Umar. So in summary, what I started off with is this dua. Asking someone to make dua shirk? No, that's not shirk at all. Is it sinful? No. What's better? The summary opinion is that it's not a problem to ask another to make dua. In fact, you get rewarded at times. If your intention is to make dua to benefit the ummah, or to benefit you and the person you're asking, or to benefit that person himself, then you may get reward for it. If it's exceptional, other than that, if it's exceptional or random, and you yourself are firm in your dua, you're firm, you're persistent in your dua, and it's exceptional or random, you say, make dua for me, you don't slack in your dua habits, you don't rely on others' dua, then that's permissible and okay. One of the simple, most basic duties to your brothers and sisters is that we should all be making dua for each other behind our backs, all of us, without anyone telling us. You benefit yourself more than anyone, because you have an angel telling you and you will get the same. Tell me this. If I make dua for myself, for exam, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, allow me to pass that exam. Is that better? Or may Allah give me Jannah? Whether it's this life or in the life after. Is that better? Or if I say, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give Muhammad, Salih, Ra'id, beneficial knowledge, or Jannah, or to pass the exam. Which one's better? Which one's going to be most likely answered? Me merely making dua for myself, me, sinful me, or making dua for my brother, the angel telling me, Ameen, and you'll get the same. Also, before we go on to the next question, many give charity and they say, make dua for me. You see that a lot. If you want what's better, again, what's better, and no, I said what's better, not matter of haram and halal and shirk, is don't ask that. Because look at the verse. إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ لَا نُرِيدُ مِنْكُمْ جَزَاءً وَلَا شُكُورًا. We feed you for the sake of Allah. We don't want no thanks, no reward. No type of reward. No type of reward. When Aisha radiallahu anha used to send someone with a charity, she would tell that messenger, listen to them and see if they make dua. So I can make a dua equivalent to that back onto them, and return that dua back onto them, so I can get my full reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibn Taymiyyah mentioned that some of the Salaf used to say, if you give a poor person and he says Barakallahu alayk, say Barakallahu alayk back to him, so that it will not constitute receiving anything in return for that charity that you gave, and get your entire reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What's unique is when we collected for Sister Salim, someone on Twitter, I don't know who it is, this is Salim, sent me an email telling me, some brother, when I tweeted about this matter, he sent her, he said, I asked you to make dua, and I retract that because of that saying, that tweet about Aisha. It's not a matter of haram and halal. It's not a matter of haram and halal, but it's what is better. And to that brother, who I don't know who he is, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him, and I love him for the sake of Allah. I love those who adhere closely to the sunnah from the bottom of my heart for the sake of Allah.